Alien Romulus. What a goddamn movie. I didn't think the movie could be so good, but damn did it surprise me. Alien Romulus is a win in my book, and goddamn it does it reignite my love for the Alien series. Not gonna lie, the series was losing me when it came to the prequels like Prometheus and Covenant, and yeah, it had cool ideas, but overall I felt like it just didn't feel like Aliens to me. Just more advanced, explanation instead of exploration into the development of the whole series in general. It was just trying to explain more of the cool alien guys and, how these corporations started doing things. And yeah, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to see cool alien stuff. And I guess we got that in those movies, but it also came with a whole bunch of like lore and stuff I personally wasn't interested in when watching a movie about fucking xenomorphs, right? So, with that being said, I'll be spoiling the movie a good bit. So, if you haven't watched the movie yet, I suggest turning the video off, leave a comment that you'll be back, and then hopefully you enjoy the movie and, come back and, tell me your thoughts about the movie when you do see it. So, if you don't care for spoilers or watched the movie already, let's get into it. How I'm going to do this is explain the events of the movie vaguely and then get into them when, I want to talk about the specific scene that I'm talking about. Alien Romulus focuses on Rain and Andy. Rain is trying to get to another planet while also taking care of her now lower functioning synthetic human caretaker, Andy. Andy is by far the most interesting and fun character in this movie. Not only do I think Andy is the heart of this movie, he is also the driving force and main character of this movie. So, in general, I fuck with Andy. I fuck with this man wholeheartedly from start to finish. Now, with Rain being denied going to the other planet, she gets a call from some friends she split for some fucking reason, I guess, asking her to come by to talk. They basically said that they found a ship, quote unquote, and think that they have cryopods to use to sleep in while they head towards the planet, right? To the planet that Rain wants to go, which is neat and all. So, the thing that is the big catch here is that it is a Wayland ship, and Andy is a Wayland synthetic robot guy, right? So they need him to get on the ship so they can, get the right to get on and open doors and so on, right? So they need to take Rain along with Andy because they're a 2-for-1 deal. Here we see one of the characters being a total dick to Andy. Later on, it's revealed that the guy's mom got trapped and was left to die on a synth's orders and tries to bully Andy a lot because of this. And yeah, he's a fucking dickhead. But he'll get his comeuppance later, right? So they make it up to the ship, but it's not a ship. It's a full-on drifting installation that will hit an asteroid belt in over a day or so, right? So that's great. So Andy, Tyler, and Bjorn, yes, I had to look up Tyler and Bjorn's names because they didn't say it enough for me to remember, and they weren't super relevant, so fuck them, right? So they go into the ship looking for what they need, and they find out that they don't have enough cryo liquid to sustain their voyage to the next planet, which makes sense. They explore for a little bit and they find the room with what they need and start removing the liquid, which starts to thaw out the room, which is nice and all. Like it's getting hotter, it's a cold cryo room, but there are fucking face huggers in stasis in said room, which when Rain and Navarro go and try to help because they got trapped in it, shit just starts hitting the fan. Like a bunch of face huggers try to escape, and one goes ahead and smacks Navarro onto the ground and full on just starts impregnating her with the fucking seed of a xeno, which is all nice and all, right? At the same time, Andy, whose AI has been upgraded thanks to Rain taking a chip from a nearby dead synth to help open the door to get them out of there, is now getting changed internally. Like his intelligence is getting way more advanced, his AI too, and yeah, he also has a new directive which goes at odds with what the group wants, right? However, it's not necessarily wrong, it's just unfortunate that this had to happen right now. So this is where they sort of explain like the installation and all this shit, right? And why there's Xenos all over the fucking installation. And it's by the dead synth that they revived. And he basically explains that the installation was experimenting on xenomorph DNA to help force an evolution for humanity. So this Wayland installation goes to the site of the Nostromo and finds the alien that was booted out of the ship in the first movie, and they did this so they can use it for xenomorph experiments, which makes sense, I guess. Like it fits, right? Because this movie is put in between the first Aliens movie and the second Aliens movie, so that's where it is in the whole Aliens timeline. So they also had like, I guess, spawn a whole bunch of like face huggers for more experiments, and then of fucking course, there was a breach in containment where the fucking xenomorph started fucking everybody up before it was shot dead. And unfortunately for everybody on the ship, there were more. So the xenomorphs took over the installation, but of course they can't really do anything about the ship and not the ship, the installation from drifting. So they've just been doing whatever, right? However, the genetic enhancer, the goop, as many people on Twitter would say, at least had a prototype by then. So that's neat. So, hearing all this, the group decided they needed to go, but they needed to help Navarro first. So, eventually, they found a way to take the face hugger off, but the deed has already been done. She has been seated. So, yeah. So now Andy, who is now much smarter and has a new directive and knows a little bit of good things and is more inclined to do more logical stuff, right? Wants to leave her behind. So this is where Bjorn takes her and runs to the ship without Andy, Rain, and Tyler, because of course he has a prejudice against synthetics, and he also didn't want to leave her behind. And yeah, I just like, again, fuck Bjorn. And he stays at the door while Navarro and Kay, another girl there in this group who's pregnant by some asshole apparently, figures out, they try to figure things out, but Navarro starts birthing the alien, full on seizure. It's not great to watch because it's disturbing, of course. And in her seizure to birth this baby from her fucking chest, she moves the ship, she jets the ship off, and it crashes into a hangar on the other side of the installation. And yeah, it was enough to move the installation just slightly to reach the asteroid belt much sooner. About what was it, like 50 minutes, an hour or some shit. And yeah, it's pretty fucked. And at the same time, the baby is born. It is doing this thing, and it is going ahead and fucking off to transform into its full version. So that's fucking neat. So with that being said, Kay wakes up and the alien is gone, and it is now in its cocoon evolving. Bjorn grabs her and tries to kill the alien with like his zapper thing. It didn't work. And the motherfucker dies by alien acid, which is kind of funny because fuck Bjorn. And he just didn't move, I guess. Like, he got slashed in the eye or something. But I guess he didn't want to move, even though the drops of acid that he knew that he knew was melting fucking metal was dropping on him. And he just decided not to move, and he just got hoed for it. So, again, fuck Bjorn. And Kay... Dear God, Kay, poor girl, tries to escape and fucking runs off the platform, smashing into shit on the ground, surviving somehow and escaping the xenomorph for the moment. At the same time, the trio tries to get past a room full of face huggers, which they fail at because they were getting like a whole bunch of like, Kay was trying to communicate with them, and it didn't work out, so they had to run out and lock the doors. Kay, who is sort of like in a storage area at the hangar, tries to get out of the doors, but it locks on her, and this causes everybody to go to the door and try and attempt to open said door. Jesus Christ, this movie shits on this girl so So fucking much, because when Andy was about to open the door, he stops because the alien was waiting for him to do it. Like he knew, and the alien, recognizing that his plan was foiled by the synthetic Andy Man, decides just to whisk Kay away and bring her like to the nest, wherever in the fucking station, right? In the installation. And this causes like a rift between Rain and Tyler, who are really fucking mad at Andy for obvious reasons. But at the same time, what he did saved their life. So I can't really be too mad at him, but this just adds to like why I love Andy. Here, I love Andy here because he was shown to us in the beginning to be the synth who wanted to do his best for Rain and he made like really bad fucking jokes. And he was just somebody just trying to help. He felt human, but then he became smarter, more logical. And when he got his new directive, of course, yes, he was helping, but it lacked that humanity that he had before. And that's why it just feels so much more, impactful when we see Andy go ahead and go through all this and make these decisions. And it just makes me feel much more for the character. And I like Andy. He's my favorite character of this movie by far. So yes, at the same time, you can't really be mad at him because he was right. And that's what makes him such a good character here. And let's continue on with the movie, right? So after this, he takes them to the main lab and they retrieve the genetic enhancer goop and some weapons that he tells them not to use because the acid would just like go through all the metal and everything and like make breaches in the installation and cause even more issues. So I guess, right? So they go to like a whole different route to get back to the ship because they think Kay is dead, but they like see a whole sort of like area like covered in alien goop, like alien material, whatever the fuck they were doing to all that, right? It was covered in corpses and all this shit and that, right? But they hear Kay and they go to try to save her. Well, mainly her brother, but she's hurt but alive. But that's when Tyler gets snatched up by a xenomorph, like an alien from Toy Story and the Claw Machine, which was kind of funny. And he sees a ton of them just like, start, making their way over. And he gets fucking murked. I thought he was going to use the gun and murk them, but I guess not, which was kind of weird, but whatever, right? I was expecting more from his character, but whatever, right? Rain and Kay get on the elevator while Andy gets smacked away, malfunctions, and is left behind. Don't know really why, this sort of damage fucked him up so bad. Maybe it was a blue stuff on the ground. Maybe it knocked like the memory core in his brain a little bit too much and he couldn't super function much. But I guess, right? I'm not really complaining about it. He's a synth man. I'm not really going to go ahead and knock the whole thing about it. It's beyond my comprehension as a guy who's not in the era. So whatever. Rain tells Kay to get back to the ship, and Rain goes back for her boy, Andy, because she's not going to leave him behind. That's the man. That's the boy right there. So she takes the new chip out, and, Andy turns to normal, and he apologizes for everything. But that's where they get into a big old fight with a bunch of Xenos in zero gravity, and I thought that shit was baller as fuck. I'm not going to lie. But they did have like a secondary fight at the elevator shaft, which was pretty cool at the same time. Some of the aliens were going ahead and chasing Rain. And the last one almost did go ahead and murk her shit. But Andy dropping down with a one-liner, shooting it in the head, calling it a bitch, which was it was kind of funny. It was like, bitch? it was pretty funny, like when he said that, because it was like a tacked on thing to his one-liner that he wasn't really sure about, so it added to like his whole humanity as a synth. And it was great to see. It just added to his like base character that he does try, and he has these human qualities that are really neat to see. Meanwhile, oh god, Kay again, she injects herself with the goop, hoping it would help her and her baby survive. And oh fucking boy, when Andy and Rain comes back to the ship and they take off, Rain puts Kay to cryo sleep only to wake her up because she was giving birth. And dear fucking God, birth to what? A fucking monstrosity human with like a human with with xenomorph traits, fucking ugly son of a bitch, lanky slender man during his teens, some bitch. Key point, this motherfucker was terrifying to look at. And it also did seem to try and form a connection with Kay, who rejected it, which I feel sort of shows a different side of the coin, where Ripley accepted her Xeno baby but couldn't allow it to live for obvious reasons. Because Kay rejected her quote unquote child, right? It kills her. So this sets this, xenomorph human abomination thing to be more xenomorph than human, as opposed to how Ripley accepts her child and it clearly understands emotion and had a human level of emotional intelligence, which, it sets like a sort of parallel between the two, which is pretty damn neat to me. The ending focuses on Rain outsmarting this fucking monstrosity, by the way. And not by the way, like I keep saying it because dear God, what the fuck was that? And Rain outsmarted it by having it fall with the cargo and to its death in space, which was a cool plan, but it gave us one last jump scare before it fucks off and dies. And Rain puts Andy to sleep in cryostasis and puts herself to sleep, and they're making their journey to whatever planet they were planning to go on in the beginning of the movie, and the movie ends. Great movie. God, I love this movie. But before I get to the good, let's talk about the little bit of a bad. There's not much that I don't fuck with in this movie, but the cast, like everyone did great for their characters. However, the characters themselves, besides maybe like 2 or 3, were just fodder. Like didn't really give us much to care for when they died or root for to die, to be honest. Like I think it was just Bjorn, but he was just an asshole. And, I think it's just a shame. I think Bjorn, who died by acid, should have had a much more gruesome death, way more, since, he allowed the alien to get to this point and reach its peak with his selfish actions, and mainly for fucking with Andy. Fuck him, right? I also think that Tyler should have died in a blaze of glory for Rain, someone he, I suppose, loved, and chose to use the anti-gravity to his advantage to kill as much as possible. Either that or eject a part of the installation with a bunch of the aliens with him, and leaving Rain and Andy on the main part of the installation to escape with the ship and, survive. That could have been cool, but hey, it's whatever. Like, regardless, the movie was fucking fire. Every character had their part to play in this movie, and I didn't notice until I looked at the cast. Like, there weren't that many people in here, like main cast wise. I think it was like 7, 6 maybe. I'm not counting my brain. I'm fucking reading off a script. I'm not doing any of that. But what all matters is that they all fulfilled their their part in the story, which it was a great decent story, and it gave us like a great aliens movie. I just think their deaths could have hit harder if we knew more about them and had spent more time with them. But it's fine. Fodder will be fodder, and people's fate in this movie and their purpose was fulfilled satisfactory. So I'm not really mad about it. Honestly, that really is it for the cons. I didn't really have much of an issue with this movie. It did feel a bit predictable, but they would add in things that would change up the scenario enough to keep it engaging and interesting. The movie didn't drag its feet, and I didn't feel like it passed 2 hours later. I was surprised when the movie ended. And, it's been 2 hours. I was like, what the fuck? That's how much the movie kept you engaged because of how it evolved the situation for all the characters in this movie. I do feel bad for the K character. Like, Jesus, that character got shit on this entire movie. Knocked up by some asshole, had to survive aliens and face huggers, then killed by her own alien monstrosity baby she infused with the goop. God damn, man, like it's fucked. It's fucked. And all around, like, that just made the movie good because it just fucked up all around. Like, I fucking love how tense the movie can be. It had like jump scares here and there, but it didn't rely on it. Like, it relied on the development of the plot to add more tense and disturbing feelings from this movie, right? The first act setting up things to the point of no return was fine. A bit slow, especially with the characters not really resonating with me, but Andy, of course, my fucking boy, but it was fine. But goddamn, the second act becoming just a whole fucking mission to just survive, and everyone was just trying their best to survive. It was just so fun to watch, to see the development and how everybody tries to do their thing and tries to, get off the ship, or, essentially just try to get the fuck out of there. The third act, that is where the movie, goes into overdrive, because it's just fucking insane, right? Like, each act is more crazier than the last, and it's just fucking, it can get crazy, disturbing. And the third act is where we get Slender Boy McGee here, like, being a fucking menace, right? So it's very rare for movies to have, I mean, I want to say it's rare, but especially for movies people enjoy, like franchises people love, it's always like the third act that sort of like fucks up its landing here and there, like to a spectrum of, like, not really being the best or hitting the hardest, to outright just fucking everything up. And I think this movie did a really great job with its third act and the way it ends. Like, I think they did an amazing job with that. Alien Romulus is such a fun and, weirdly enough, disturbing movie that is just enjoyable. Like, it's an enjoyable, tense, disturbing movie. But personally, I wouldn't watch it anytime soon again, because, I don't feel like it's a one and done movie. It is a great addition to an Alien marathon type of movie. Like, the movie is really good, but if like the plot, and if like what's going on, and of course, because of the recency of you watching it, you're not going to watch it again because you know everything, but it's still tense and disturbing. So it adds to that. It adds to its flair, and overall, it's just a baller ass movie, and I think is a great addition to the Alien franchise. Now, what does this movie do for the Aliens franchise? Because something has to happen or develop, right? So this movie does introduce like new characters, like genetic goop, and the fact that these companies are experimenting with xenomorphs, because fucking duh, of course they are. We also did learn that the colonies are dying, and it's becoming harder for humans to survive on distant planets, especially with the crazy conditions they have. Honestly, when watching the movie, I was sort of hoping that the goop would have done what it intended to do. Maybe transform K, but keep the child normal for the most part. But it's stronger, faster, and adapts better at things, while also having a partial connection to the Xeno hive mind. Of course, we didn't get that, but it would have been cool as shit to see. I think if they develop the goop some more and make humans be more stronger, faster, more resilient on harsher planets, but the con would be that they would be seen as an enemy hive mind by the xenomorphs and would be attacked more aggressively by them for, of course, multiple reasons, making more of them, eliminating them, the good old classics, right? I think Aliens is a franchise that should focus on two fronts: the survive and escaping, disturbing movie aspect like Romulus and the OG movies, and Colonial Marines extermination movies where it's more action oriented, but still try to keep that tense horror vibes when discovering the fucked up shit the companies are doing and what the fuck the Xenos are doing to people. So I do think that will be fucking interesting to see. I don't want Aliens to be boring. I want it to expand more, make movies where the Xenos are overrunning a colony and we see the colony fall, and we see this group that we're focused on try to escape from said colony being overrun. Give me Colonial Marines exterminating hives and fucking shit up. I need something exciting to watch when it comes to Aliens, because I just need more, right? Give me movies of unsuspecting people walking into the jaws of death unknowingly as they get hunted down by Xenos and try to escape their situation somehow from, I guess like a fucking nest, like a big old nest that they didn't think was a nest or anything like that, right? Give us an Aliens versus Predator type movies where we actually see predators make alliances with humans to survive being on a Xeno planet. That is a reference to an actual comic, I'm pretty sure I read about a long time ago. And I think that whole concept will be baller as fuck. I'm just happy this movie is good and they use this momentum for something exciting and, not fuck it up, right? So for me, this movie is an 8. I wanted to say that it was a 7.5, but said fuck it. I like whole numbers, so I'm gonna give it an 8. It's good. Go watch it. It's actually, like pretty disturbing and crazy as hell, and it's fucked. Like the whole situation is fucked, but it's interesting to see it develop in that fucked way, if that makes any sense. Overall, a good watch. Hope you guys enjoy the movie. If you haven't watched it and are somehow this far in the movie, thank you. And I hope you enjoy the spoilers and everything, right? So thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the movies when you do eventually watch the movie, and stay safe and healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically. See you guys later. Peace.